Hello MouseWorks fans, and welcome to another edition of Pop the Box, my version of in-the-box reviews of model kits, new and old. And for this edition, it is a new kit, and this one is a company that just came out with it. It is made by a company called Sabre. So right there, Sabre. Fairly not really new company, but they haven't done a whole lot of releases. So they've done a couple flat cars and so on, and they are actually, I've actually waited for this kit for a long time. It's actually a tank car, and it's one of the mini shorty tank cars, and 1/35 scale. And there's two versions of this. One has metal wheels and one just has the plastic wheels. Plastic wheel ones sold out real quick. So all I get was the metal wheel one. I don't know if this is actually available in the States yet. I don't believe it is. I did get mine straight from Hong Kong. So let's do an in-the-box review. Okay, folks, sorry for the mess. I've got all kinds of stuff on my desk that I'm using to get stuff ready for the IPMS Nationals in Las Vegas in about a month. So if you're going, I hope to see you there. And so let's take a look at this kit. It is made by Sabre and 1/35 scale Kesselwagen, and this is one of the shorty two-axle Kesselwagens. Does not actually have a frame to it as of much. It just rides on the two wheel sets here. They might do one that's a full-length frame later, but this is actually a classic one that they still use today, even though they were actually retired in the 70s. But you still see some running around. So anyways, let's take a look. 1/35 scale, like I said, it's a 1941 to 1990 year edition. It has two different types of word plaques, it says, on the tank. There's photo etch parts, and this is the metal wheel edition, which I didn't really care about that because I figured they would do a good job on the plastic wheels. But anyways, they'll be nice and true, and I won't have to clean them up. Kit contains tracks and sleeper parts, so it does give you a section of track. Side of the box just gives you a little bit of a history of the tank car itself and a picture of the photo etch. There's actually wooden planks for the steps on these, and then pre-bent parts, which is nice that they're pre-bent. Then this side, it has some of their other additions that they've done. Covered wagons, their flatbed, which is an SSY 6-axle, and one of their 2-axle shorty type cars, the Omar. Anyways, so let's take a look inside and see what we got. Alrighty, first thing out of the box is the what they call the user manual, or the instructions. Half in English, half in Chinese. This is the parts layout here. Does show photo etched wood parts for the steps. Some parts that aren't used. What's really nice is this is in color, which doesn't really add a lot to the price of a model kit. I don't know why companies just don't do that on all of them. So first thing we have here is you have to check the option whether you want the large board or the small board, which has the data on what's in the tank car and so forth and who operates it. Looks like we've got color pictures, yellow for photo etch, which is really nice, and the purple looks like what you actually put on in that step, or at least to differentiate it from other things. Does look like this kit is a little more advanced. You have to do some cutting and some drilling, and using photo etch, so it is not a first-timer's kit. Okay, not too busy, but a little bit. But that's nice with the color, because if the color wasn't there, it would look very busy and you might miss a part. So anyways, there's actually building the tank itself. This is actually a fairly simple kit. You got to make sure you do the right ones, because some of the parts have slots for the trucks. And again, some drilling. Putting the tank together. There is going to be a seam down the middle and across the top. Top I'm not worried about, because you could actually make that a seam if you wanted to. This one is going to have to be cleaned up and sanded pretty well. So hopefully I won't flatten that when I build that. The air brake system, which is all included. Interesting little photo etched nuts and bolts. That's kind of cool. Again, a pretty advanced thing. Axles, pretty simple. Again, you don't have a full frame, you just have the air brakes and then the two trucks. And here's where you put the wood stand here, and that is actually real wood from what it says. Bending the photo etch and so forth. Again, a little more advanced, but very interesting. I wasn't too sure about this kit, but because I don't know much about Sabre, so looks like all kinds of stanchions and valves and all kinds of stuff. So they show the billboard here, or the data board. It shows Deutsche Reichsbahn, but it does say Brit US Zone, so this is post-war Deutsche Reichsbahn. DB would be Deutsche Bundesbahn, which they changed to in modern day, so that would be a DB on the more current stuff. So if you do want to do one that's actually World War II, you would have to get some information, some reference, and change that over. I wonder if anybody will actually do any other decals on this. It'd be kind of interesting to see if they do. Anyways, so looks like it's got a color chart here. Talks about how to apply the decals, and the color chart here has the color name, the federal standard or RAL, Tamiya number, not sure what VIC is, VIC, Mr. Hobby, and Vallejo. So apparently there's another one that I'm not familiar with. Anyways, so there's lots of stuff you can do. You can do British Petroleum, you can do Esso, there's all kinds of stuff if you get really creative. So let's start looking at the parts. Okay, so I've got this bag of parts, and basically one thing I want to mention is I really enjoy the fact that model companies are going to this resealable bag, which makes it much easier to get to the parts and then put them back in and close it up. No staples, no cutting, no mess, no nothing. So I like that very much. Okay, so the first group of parts here, there's two sprues. These are the plastic wheel sets. They look very nice. They actually have, let's get a tighter shot in here. So, yeah, there we go. Okay, so no knockout pins on here, like Thunder model did. Unfortunately, I believe the Thunder model's gone, so don't have to worry about that anymore. But anyways, and then these are the buffer stops here, the little spring-loaded. They did do the buffers correctly, having one semi-curved and then one flat. Just make sure you get them on the right correct side, because they do have a particular side that they go on. So they give you two of that. Looks like a pretty good plastic too. Pretty clean molding. All right, next up. All right, Sprue A, and gives you two of these. So we'll just look at one. Now, one thing I wish they would do, cut out these letters and make it so you can see them better. Otherwise, you know, have to put a piece of tape or something on them to make them stand out. These are big enough though, you can use a marker. So this is part of the frame. Part of this you don't use. The buffer plate and the coupler plate. A few other pieces. This is pretty rigid plastic, but it's nice and clean. I mean, there's no flash. Very, very clean. They're very, very good about where they put their knockout pins. You can see them all on the back here. They do have to be clipped off, but they're easily clipped off. But I like these style ones because that means that they're out of the way. Very good molding. Some knockout pins on the back side of here. Shouldn't be too hard to get rid of. Okay, next up, a lot of these sprues are going to be redundant, so this review is going to go pretty quick. So, okay, and as always, I appreciate you guys viewing, and if you would hit the subscribe button, you'll get all my updates. And let's get a little bit wider here for this one. and hit the bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. Okay, so there's the air brake tanks. A little thick on some of the details. There's some fine details, not super ultra fine like some of the new Mang and Tacom kits, but fine enough for what we're doing. This sprue there's 4 of, looks like. So we'll move those out of the way. This has the leaf springs, which look very good. No flash, nice and deep recessed engraving. Again, knockout pins in the right places. Looking real good. Nice quality plastic, very good quality plastic. There's no marbling or anything to show that it's been molded incorrectly. So very, very clean. Interesting note, the sprue letter is recessed on this one, but raised on this one. So I'm beginning to wonder if maybe they got other things coming, or this is just a generic parts to one of their other flat cars. That's just very interesting. They're very different the way they're molded. This is also a much thicker sprue. If you look at the actual sprue itself, it's way thicker than this one, and it's a different type of plastic. This one's a lighter gray and this one's a darker gray. So not sure what's going on there, if they're different divisions that are doing this or what's going on with that. That's pretty noticeable, so we'll have to keep an eye on and see what that all means. Again, whether it's different machines, different manufacturers, or what are working on this. Okay, here's E. Now this is different even again. Small e raised, about the same sprue thickness as this one, but that's just really weird. You know, usually they'd be standard. I don't know what the heck's going on. They must have one division doing a different sprue or something. Anyways, that's the caps for the tank filler. Okay, next up is the actual tank itself. Now again, this is in pieces, so it's going to take some careful sanding and filling to make sure that seam goes away. 2 of these. You can see how this one actually has a lip on it, so they should butt up pretty evenly. This one you could actually make a seam like this with some sprue, but doing the lateral filling is going to take a little bit, just making sure again that you don't flatten it. So, but very nice, heavy plastic. This goes back to the 1A sprue, looks like that one. So a little bit of texture on it, not much. Primer should actually cover that up, but it doesn't look like you have to sand it, so looking good. So this is going to be about the size of it. As you can see, it's going to be about like yay big, a little bit smaller than say a number 1 gauge tank car. So like from Markland, they do number 1 gauge, which is 1/32 scale. This is 1/35. Okay, these are the metal wheels that are turned aluminum wheels. Very nice looking, each one individually wrapped. They'll definitely need a primer, but they look much truer, and you can be able to get actually a completely metal looking edge to them by them being metal. Okay, next up is the pre-bent parts and the wood planking that will go for the step. It's actually assembled for you, so it's just engraved for 3 planks. It's just 1 piece of wood though, so you don't have to put them together. That's nice. Laser cut. Here's the photo etched. Actually, there's some more stuff in here. Photo etched, lots of photo etched. The data boards are actually there, so they look scale. Walkways and all kinds of stuff. That's really nice looking brass, and it's got a skin on it, which is nice. You can actually cut out the part and then take the part out without all the other pieces going flying. So I love the way this is skinned over. I mean, I think Trumpeter was the first one to do that. Maybe Dragon. Anyways, here's the decals. Let me get them off of here. There we go. Okay, so again, Deutsche Reichsbahn post-war. some other data information. Looks pretty good. It doesn't say who is molding or making the decals, but they're very thin and somewhat glossy, but very, very thin. So, okay. And the last piece is going to be the track itself, or as they call it, the sleepers and rails. And boy, do these look really nice. The texture on them is incredible. So we've got lots of wood texture here, and they're gouged out like they've been used. So they're not perfect like Dragon and some of the other companies did, and that's really nice. Each one is different too. So yeah, that's saves you from having to make the things look realistic. And they did give you the right nut system. I know it's kind of anal retentive, but this little 3-nut system is actually the German tie plate system. The Dragon and the Trumpeter and a few of the other companies, they actually have American or Russian tie plates with just one spike, but these are actually 3 screws. So they did that correct. Hooray! They're on their way. This is actually very exciting. Hoping that they'll do a long tank car. I really like tank cars. There's the instructions, again, color, doing the rail plates to bolt them together, and I'm guessing that they'll do a set of track eventually too, so you can just buy the track. And then on the back shows you connecting them together, and actually it tells you how to curve it. So actually you cut these extra little pieces, and then you can actually curve the ties and rails. Very cool. Very cool. These guys are really thinking. I hope they stick with it. I hope everything goes smoothly with them, and I will give a little more in-depth review of some of their other kits if I get a hold of them. So next up, I will do a close-up of some of these parts, and like I said, as always, please leave a comment and hit the bell and subscribe. Alright, Mouseworks fans, that concludes another edition of Pop the Box for the Sabre 1/35th scale Kesselwagen, which just came out. Looks like a really good kit, and hopefully they'll keep up with doing some of the other types of railroad cars and some of the more obscure ones. So thanks for watching, and as always, hit the bell and subscribe so you get all my updates and all my videos. I'm very excited to actually almost be up to 200 subscribers, so I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it took a long time to get to this point. So keep on watching, and be sure to visit my web store, Mouseworks, support this channel. So give them a visit, and as always, go build something. Thanks for watching.